Today on Brilliance Business TV, we have Maria Franzoni. Maria has worked in the speaking industry for over 23 years. She has held senior positions with two leading bureaus, CSA Celebrity Speakers and London Speaker Bureau. Named by the New York Times as the only international speaker bureau from 2007 to 2021, she ran her own multi-million-pound company representing the good and the great of the speaking world, including the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, business magnate Richard Branson, Body Shop founder, environmentalist Anita Roddick, and singer, songwriter and political activist Bob Geldof, and former trader and author of Black Swan, Nassim, Nicholas Taleb, to name a few. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler, and we have another incredible show and guest in store for you guys today. Before I bring in my guest, I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills Luxury Watches and Fine Jewelry at craigshelley.com. So we are live and streaming on Facebook, Periscope, LinkedIn, post-production, Instagram, YouTube. We're also streaming through mspnewsglobal.com, and we're also on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going live to Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, and many, many more. So I am going to bring in my amazing guest, Maria Franzoni. I have known Maria now for a few years. She has given me advice. I have had coaching from her in the past. And there is nothing this clever businesswoman does not know about getting booked to speak, the speaking industry, and becoming a good speaker. I also interviewed her a few years ago now when I very first started in my public speaking journey, and the interview did not go as smoothly as it is going today. Maria, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
Mark, I remember it well. Sometimes I wake up in a night sweating, cold sweat, remembering that very first live we did. Oh my goodness, that was such fun. That was such fun. Thank you for having me. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Yes, it was your first Facebook Live, Maria, and you've gone on now to do your own shows and a lot more live. So it was a learning experience for both of us. You just have such a great CV, Maria, and experience with top class speakers. I would just like to go backwards a little bit and talk about your past and background that led you to do what you do today.
Yeah, no, happy to. And I've got such a good CV because I'm not young, Mark. I've had a lot of different jobs and a lot of experience. And I think often that experience helps you achieve what you're doing because you learn and it all builds. So my background originally, before I got into the world of the speaking industry and speaker bureaus and speaker training now, was in business. I actually started in retail management many years ago, which I think is a great grounding for anyone, really, because it's one of the toughest jobs to do, I think. And then went into marketing and went into management consultancy. So I had quite a good background, a business background, which I think is really helpful. Whatever you do, if you have an understanding of business, it just makes life a lot easier. And that was inspired by my father, because my father loved business. And so I learned quite a bit from him. And I wanted to be like my dad. And now I am actually. If you put a wig on my dad, he is me. We are exactly the same. We look so similar. It's scary. So that's a very brief background. I hope that's enough for you.
I like that you learned a lot from your dad, Maria. That's a really nice thing to have to tell people as well, that you learned a lot of business skills from your father. And tell us a little bit about your business now, because I know you have been through a transition as well.
Yeah, it seems to me that whenever there's a really big economic crisis, I like to make a big change. I don't know what it is, but it's all being discombobulated and disrupted. So you might as well disrupt yourself as well. So 23 years I've been working in and running speaker bureaus, as you mentioned. And when COVID hit last year, we noticed that many of the speakers that we work with and worked with for years were struggling to adapt to the virtual world, but also to know who to reach out to, how to get more work, whether they should even be asking, whether they needed to be changing the topics that they were, offering, and how they were working with clients. And so from the middle of last year, we started working full time with speakers. Half of the team started working full time with speakers. The other half continued to run the bureau. And then, of course, as business came back and as we got busier and busier on both sides, I had to make a decision, because I thought I cannot honestly run two businesses. And it's one of the things I advise speakers, actually. I say, pick what you're going to talk about, pick your niche, go in one direction, don't have too broad a focus. And I was stretched too broad. And to be honest, before Christmas, I think I was on the point of total exhaustion and overwhelm. So I took the decision, what am I going to do? And I thought, at my age, it's important to do the stuff that I really enjoy. In fact, at any age, but you don't always have a choice. I had a choice. And what I really enjoy, as I have enjoyed with you as well, is working with speakers and seeing the speakers go on to really have huge success. That makes me really happy. So that's what I'm doing.
It's just such an interesting topic, Maria, because we all had to pivot last year to some certain degree, and it was quite tough for the speaking industry. Could you just share some of the kind of challenges that speakers were going through? Because it's been a hard year for keynote speakers.
Oh my goodness. Yes, especially if you are a keynote speaker and that's all you are. If that's it, if you go from event to event where you just deliver the one speech and onto the next event, those are the guys who've suffered the most. So back in for us, it was in February that we began seeing cancellations and postponements, because we had events in Asia. And Asia obviously was the first area where things were being locked down and closed down. But so for all speakers, last spring was a time when they were seeing cancellations, postponements, and clients saying we can't go ahead. And without any real indication of what was going to happen, people thought we would come back in the autumn. And for some it did, because they went virtual, but a lot of events for us have been postponed 2 or 3 times. And some events are actually still postponed until 2020. So although we're no longer running the bureau and accepting new inquiries on that side, we're still honouring the events that have postponed, because they've gone forward from, the beginning of 2020 all the way to 2022. And if you weren't able to sort of adapt your business, or if you only had one product or service, which was your keynote as a speaker, you're in trouble. And so it's so important for many of them to think about, what else can I do? How else can I work with clients? And those are the kind of things that we help speakers with. But that was the big problem for many. There's still uncertainty. And there's also, if you're an international speaker, the markets are still, one market may be open, then another one may be closed. It's going to go on for a while longer, I'm afraid. I think we've probably got another year of this stop, start before we really settle down and learn to live with learn to live with the pandemic in reality, and make it endemic, I suppose.
I hear you. I was due to fly out to Canada last March when the pandemic hit. Then it got rescheduled to this March, and then it's postponed now, and we haven't got a new date for that yet. So it's been really testing, but I do always believe in every stressing there is a blessing, and if we can pivot like you have pivoted, you can do great things even through testing times. Now, I know obviously you have pivoted from the Speaker Bureau, but would you just mind sharing a little bit about what a Speaker Bureau does, Maria, and who a Speaker Bureau is for? Because I know you used to get so many inquiries of people wanting to join your books and they were even not quite ready. I think it's a little bit misunderstood. Could you clear that up for us a little bit?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I do have to just highlight, I had to write down what you said. In every stressing, there's a blessing. I love that. I'm going to have to put that on my wall because that is just, it's a beautiful quote. So I'm going to quote you, Mark. I like that.
Well, please quote Dr. John D. Martini, because that's not my quote.
Oh, Dr. Martini. Okay, absolutely. I will do that. Very good. Thank you for that. I hadn't heard it. So with regards to a Speaker Bureau, so a Speaker Bureau, you said the first thing you said is who is it for? That's really interesting. That's a very astute question. It's actually not for speakers, even though it's called a Speaker Bureau. It's for the clients, the corporates, the businesses, the governments, the organizations wanting to book speakers, as opposed to for the speaker. And a Speaker Bureau, if you like, is like it's like a warehouse. There are lots, and every bureau is different. Some bureaus will have, thousands and thousands of speakers. Some may have a few hundred, but it's still a warehouse where you have a choice, where you can go and choose different speakers for your topics. And the role of the Speaker Bureau staff is really to be matchmakers. It's to save a lot of time for an organizer because they have an understanding of the speakers on their books and they know who's going to match it. They also know if that speaker is going to be within the client's budget, and they know whether that speaker will accept the invitation, because not all speakers will do all events. So there's a lot of time saving for them, and they also take the risk out of, I'm so sorry if you can hear some coughing in the background. I've got my little dog's here, and he's got a little heart condition. Aww. And every now and then he coughs. So apologies, everybody, if there's can hear. But sorry about what I was saying. So it's also bureaus take the risk out of booking a speaker, because bureaus guarantee that if something happens, if a speaker has to pull out for any reason, that they will find an appropriate alternative or give your money back, which sometimes you might be nervous about. So those are a couple of things that bureaus do. And you did make the point that sometimes speakers come to a bureau when perhaps they're not ready, or they go to the wrong bureau. I find that a lot of speakers don't do the research, and they think that any bureau will do. And yet, if you actually go deep, you'll find that certain bureaus specialize in certain types of speakers, or in certain types of clients, or in certain types of markets, or in certain price ranges. So you can't just apply to anybody. There's sort of a lot more research you need to do before you do. And you've got to have all of your assets in order. You've got to have a great bio. You've got to have great photos. You've got to have great video. Unless you're very famous, then none of that matters.
That goes for everything, Maria. Some great advice there. And we have talked a little bit about how the pandemic has affected the speaking industry. Where do you see the future of the speaking industry, Maria?
Well, actually, I'm really positive about it. I think it's going to come back really strongly. However, probably not as fast as any of us want. I also think that we're going to still carry on with virtual. Virtual is so cost effective. It's so easy. It's such short lead time. You decide you want to do a virtual event next week, you can do it. There's no hotels to organize, there's no travel to organize, there's no catering to organize. You can reach a huge number of people, and you can have the recording, you can revisit it, which you can do anyway with an in-person event. But so I think virtual's here to stay. I think it has huge value. I think we're going to see a lot more hybrid events where you've got the in-person and the virtual, but I also see a lot of more blended events. So where you will actually potentially have either a virtual or in-person or a hybrid, and then, or the audience will have the opportunity to maybe do some online further training from the speaker or the expert who has been on. So I see an opportunity to do much more with clients and go deeper. And I think that's a really good thing.
That's actually a great point, Maria. I think virtual is definitely here to stay. I do think events will come back because we all miss human connection so dearly, and you can't be face-to-face handshaking and interaction. But I think you're right as well. We will see events with more virtual things built into them with in-person as well, which, like you, I think that's a great thing, Maria. Now, we are going to a commercial break, Maria, so stay tuned with us. Join us after the commercial break. We have been joined with Maria Franzoni. She has shared how her father taught her some great business advice, how she has led a worldwide successful speaker bureau, and how she has pivoted her business. She has shared the future of the speaking industry. Join us after the commercial break, where we'll be learning more about what Maria does in business now, and join us for some tips for speaking success. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. We are joined by the incredible Maria Franzoni. Do you want to become a great speaker? But most importantly, do you want to turn speaking into a business that pays? Maria Franzoni is the one. Maria, welcome back to Brilliance Business TV.
Mark, delighted to be back. I have to say, I've had to make a note of those gorgeous watches. They're absolutely stunning. I want one now. Thank you very much for sharing that. Didn't know about them.
Craig Shelley is my sponsor, and if you ever want me to connect you, I'd be more than happy to connect you. And we have discussed a lot about where the future is of speaking, Maria. Tell us a little bit more in detail about the business you have pivoted to now and how you support speakers.
Thank you, Mark. It was actually really quite a natural move, because having done the business side of speaking, if you like, for so many years, it's quite easy to then sort of apply it to speakers themselves and their own speaking businesses and to help them. So as I said, we started working with speakers, half of our team last year, supporting them and running virtual programs, group programs, as well as one-to-one programs with speakers, and looking really at what it was that made the speakers on the speaker bureau most successful. Why were certain speakers booked more than others? And we developed all of our programs based on that. But we focus on two main areas. Thank you very much, we're called Speaking Business, because there's two parts to your business. And most speakers focus on the speaking, at getting good at the content, the stagecraft, the delivery, the speaking part. And that's really important. You have to be good at speaking, but they don't really want to get involved in the business. And the business part is the sales, it's the marketing, it's the positioning, it's the whole, it's all of the financial stuff, all of the business bits that make it profitable. And you can be the best speaker in the world, but if you haven't got the business side, you're not going to monetize it. And so it's about balancing the two. So my partner in the business, Mary Tilson, focuses on the speaking side very much, and focusing, helping you tailor it, to structure it, to have an impact, to embed the learning, because that's exactly what clients want, and to take it from one speech to more, develop it into further. And I do all the business bit. So between the two of us, we cover all the angles. So that's what we do. And as you can see, I'm really excited and passionate about it, because I love working with speakers. And as we said, I love seeing the results that you all achieve. It's really great because you come back and tell us.
And like you mentioned, Maria, speaking, when you're just seeing speakers, it does look quite glamorous, but the speaking part is just such a small part of the work that goes into it. The messaging, getting your messaging right, all the business skills that you're talking about. This is where we do have to spend most or a lot of our time building our business, the sales. So it's really vital what you're teaching speakers. And like myself, I had to learn as I went, and it took me a lot longer than it needed to. If someone like you comes in, they can learn a lot more quickly, so that they can start getting results a lot quicker and more efficiently. Would you agree with me there?
Oh, absolutely. You can accelerate it. All of our team have got years of speaker bureau experience, and speaker bureaus know where to find the paid speaking gigs, how to leverage those, and how to get more business out of it. So we can absolutely accelerate it for sure. But I think that's the case in anything you do. If you can get somebody who really knows the business inside and out, whether it's the speaking business or anything else, somebody can really accelerate, rather than you having to learn. But I think it's also good to have more than one person helping you, because you'll get different points of view, or sometimes you'll get the same messaging, but it'll resonate with one person and not resonate so well with somebody else. So I actually encourage people to have more than one, maybe mentor or trainer or coach. I think that's a good idea, rather than focus just on one person as well.
That's good advice. And I know a couple of years ago, Maria, you used to do the really impressive speaker reels for speakers, the video. So you would take them into a studio and help them to get their speaker reels, which speaker reels, it's hard putting them together, because you have to have spoken on a great stage, which is hard to do if you're just starting out. And you took that worry away from speakers, and they look so expensive and premium. Is that something that you still do or will be doing in the future?
We can absolutely do that. It's what we tend to do now is we will help the speaker to have all of the assets, so they know how to do the show reel, so that if they've got somebody they know, because many speakers have somebody that they know to do the filming, and so we can do that, or we can film it for them. So because it's obviously quite expensive to do the filming, depends what the budget is. But the point you make about the show reel, it's so important, and there's so many mistakes that speakers make with regards to the show reel. And at the moment, actually, you don't necessarily have to have a big audience for your video, because you can do a virtual reel, and you can do that in your home studio. But all of the same rules apply in terms of structuring it and thinking about it. So yeah, the show reel is really important. It can open doors. It absolutely can open doors. If you're a speaker, clients and bookers need to see you speak. So if they can't see you live, if they can't come and see you and sit in an audience, the next best thing is to see you on video. So you've got to do the video piece.
I actually remember a little bit of the structure you taught me for show reels, and it's really, really interesting. And there's a set way how to do it. I remember one of them was you show a clip for a certain amount of time and also testimonials into the clip as well. So having these little structures is what makes a great show reel. And once you have that structure, it's quite easy to put it together yourself, like you mentioned. My next question, Maria, could you share some tips with us for speakers to have more success for this coming year, for the coming future? Some top tips for speaking success.
Goodness gracious, that's quite broad, isn't it? So top tips for speaking success. Don't wait for in-person to come back. Make sure that if you have not embraced virtual yet, that you embrace it. And make sure that your standards for virtual are as high as possible, because the standards are getting higher and higher and higher. And you're broadcasting your television program, it has to be TV program quality. That's what we've got to get to. So you've got to have decent camera, decent lighting, decent sound. You cannot skimp on that. And if you can't do it at home, hire a studio, but you've got to look as professional as possible. It's exactly the same advice as we give on the show reels. So first of all, my one tip will be to embrace virtual, and secondly, to embrace the business side of the speaking. Yes, keep improving your speaking, but don't rely on somebody else to do, to build your business for you. A lot of speakers are looking for somebody else to take the sales and marketing from them. That happens when you're too busy to do the sales and marketing. When you're so busy, when you've got momentum, there will be a queue of people to help you. But when you're starting out, nobody else is going to care about growing your business more than you do. And nobody else is going to put the effort and time in as much as you do. So I find often that speakers are wanting to sort of say, I want a bureau, I want an agent, I want a manager, I want somebody else to sell me. That doesn't work unless you have a really high profile or you've already got momentum, because any manager, bureau, or agent is not going to take somebody from zero and get them to a certain level. So the two bits of advice: one, embrace virtual, and secondly, take responsibility and action for your own sales success, if you like, and business success.
I think they're great words, Maria, and that was a lesson I had to learn. And you do have to become good at selling. I wasn't a great salesperson at the beginning of my journey. I believe doing it authentically. I don't think there's a need for too many hard sales. I think when you sell from the heart, you sell naturally, but you do have to have some key skills for selling to make a success of business. It's so important to become good at selling. Maria, I have found this conversation fascinating with you today. It's great to have you on a few years later and meet up with you again. My last question: what's new for Maria? I know you've just pivoted. What programs, what courses are you working on that you may have that some of the speakers out there may be interested in?
Oh, thank you. Goodness, constantly working on developing new programs. At the moment, we're running a virtual program, and we're running it again actually in June, called Speaking in a Different World, because the world has changed. And that takes speakers through the whole process of, understanding what's going on in the marketplace and understanding the speaking industry, because many speakers don't understand the paid speaking industry, through all the whole process in understanding then your niche, your target market, your positioning, the whole structuring of your speech, etc. So we've got that, and we're running that once more because for the 6th time in June, and then we're going to look to probably change and do something slightly different. But every time we run any of our programs, and I would encourage speakers to do the same, we always change, we always improve, we always get the feedback. So we're always doing something different. So I've sort of gone around the houses in terms of answering your question, but we're always going to be running virtual programs, and we're always going to be working one-to-one with speakers, and we'd love to help you. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, we've also got lots of free resources for speakers if they want to pick them up, and just keep in touch and watch this space. Always something new. But Mark, something I am doing, which you may not know about, I'm trying to write the book at the moment.
And have you come up with ideas? What's the book about? Is it your personal journey, or is it more of an expert book? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of working titles at the moment. One of them is sort of the bookability formula, what makes you bookable, and the other one is sort of like the business of speaking. But it's literally step by step, taking you through the process, whether you are beginning or whether you are repositioning or you're trying to go to the next level. It literally takes you through, because I've seen lots of great books about speaking, but I've sort of haven't been clear on taking you, one step at a time of all the things you need. It's like a blueprint, if you like. It's a blueprint for your speaking business, where you can go through, do all the bits, and then check the boxes, and you've done it, and you're set up for success.
I look forward to that book coming out, Maria, and you will have to come back on the show again once it's published, and we can go in more detail about that as well. Maria, thank you so much for coming on to the Brilliance Business TV show. I've really enjoyed the conversation with you.
I've loved it. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. You have been listening to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. We have been joined with Maria Franzoni. She has shared how her father taught her business skills. We have learned so much about the speaking industry and how to get booked to speak, and how the world of virtual speaking is here to stay, how the speaking industry has still got a bright future. And we have learned all about Maria's pivot into a business that she's doing now to support speakers on their journey, to let them learn the business skills that they need and to go on to have great speaking success. Join us next time on Brilliance Business TV.